Okay.
Well, hopefully that part didn't go up. Hello, everybody. This is Kevin Watts and Michael Panone from Lexus Enthusiast, and you're joining us today to see the instant analysis of the new 2022 RX. We're going to
Three.
jump right into it. I think Michael's just going to say hello just to make sure that he's working.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. Glad to be here. Excited to chat about the new RX.
Okay, so let's just get right into it. We're going to take a look at some pictures, starting, of course, with this new front end. Michael, what are your thoughts on this new design?
Um. Okay. I let me say this. My feelings about the front end are because the rest of the car is I like so much. I really don't care for the front end. I think it's obviously going to look better in darker colors, but the nose, like I like the fact that the spindle is frameless. I think there are some cool elements to it, but I do not like the bump out nose. It does not work for me. What do you think?
Well, I was thinking about it. I think we've complained in the past about how you can't tell the difference between an ES and an LS,
Hmm.
and there was a real chance that we were going to see this have the same problem with this RX and the NX. So I do understand why they decided to do something different. Um, I think it's definitely one of those things that's going to take a little bit of time to get used to. But we're lucky. We've been able to see the RX for the last 3 or 4 days. So every day I would load up the images and I would take a look, and every
Hmm.
day it became less and less jarring. You know, I like the idea of what they're trying to do with the front grille. I think that you like as you mentioned, it's there's no chrome surround.
Hmm.
It's very organic in the way that it kind of jags into the bumper. I like that a lot. Uh, but I have to say that I no longer hate it.
Yeah. The other thing I think about too, and that we've been talking about a little bit, is that if you consider the fact that the camera was probably positioned like what 10, 11 inches off the ground to take a picture like this, for example, and maybe
Hmm.
a foot off the ground, for a normal person who's 5 or 6 feet tall, looking down on the front of the car, the view is going to be very different, right? So from a lot of the press pictures, they're fairly low to the ground, like sort of at face value right there.
Yeah.
If you're looking down at the car, I think the nose bump is going to look quite different and probably a little bit better. I mean, all that said, I'm probably trying to look for something positive here,
Silver
but when
lining.
I
Yeah.
when I can't really find it otherwise. But I think it's just the rest of the design is so good, and then when we saw the front end, I was just kind of like, okay.
So yeah, I want to so this is the front end of the F Sport Performance, which we'll get into.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to pull up um, the standard grill so that we can take a look at it.
Okay.
So it's a lot softer. It's not as jarring, but it has like it's just that like kind of hook design, the way that it kind of hooks
Mm-hmm.
over.
Yeah.
Um, but like I said, my opinion is definitely changing as every day as we look at it. What do you think about the rest of the body?
I really like it. I have never been a huge fan of the current RX design. The overall shape I like, but I've always felt that there's a little bit too much going on with some of the different lines and stuff, like the lines coming off the hood, the line through the doors, the line that flares up through the back into the fender. This new RX is still the same overall shape, but it's a lot cleaner and a lot more organic, and I really like it overall. I think it's very much an RX, but I think it also looks a lot more sophisticated. And honestly, it looks a lot stronger. Like the overall design, I think, is more athletic. So I'm a fan. What about you?
I I was surprised that they decided to continue on with the floating roof,
Me
but
too.
I guess it's maybe they're looking at it as a design cue now. Maybe this is something that they intend to bring through every RX, future,
Yeah.
whatnot.
Yeah.
Um, Side profile, I'm just going to pull it up so that we can take a look. Side profile, I think it just looks like the current RX. A bit more muscular, a bit less.
Yeah.
It's definitely much more mature as a design.
Hmm. I think so too.
Still, the overhang, the front overhang is
It's not
difficult.
great. It's not
Yeah,
great. It looks
but
it. I do like the way it's sculpted a little bit more in the new RX, at least. Kind of like the
yeah,
NX, like we were chatting about.
and I really really like the rear. I
I do
mean,
too. I think the
I
back looks
think
good.
that even with that floating roof design, I really like it. And I mean, the wheels
Hmm.
are awesome, but like we can talk as much as we want about the exterior of the RX, but I think the real thing that's impressive about this new RX is the interior.
For
And
sure.
so
Yeah.
let's just take a look.
Yeah.
Here's like their like money shot. I mean, I the NX is it's similar, but this is definitely much more upscale.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's I love it. I as much as I like this shot, I actually am equally as impressed with the F Sport Performance interior, which
Hmm.
usually the F Sport products kind of get like not as great of an interior, but I thought that the RX 500H F Sport Performance interior was beautiful. Um, I think this, at least based on pictures right now, this is probably the nicest looking interior, and it looks like it may be the highest quality interior that Lexus has. I think it's really, really, really nice, and I don't give out that praise easily, so I think it looks great.
Well, it reminds me of the RZ, definitely, but the RZ is really stripped down, really minimalist.
Hmm.
This is still very functional, and like everything is just very smooth. All of the materials, like I'm just going to pull up the standard RX interior one more time for us to look
I
at.
remember when the NX. I remember when the NX came out, and we were talking about it, and it sort of felt like, okay, there's things here we like, there's things here that look good. We both, I think, had similar feelings about the fact that there was nothing on the passenger side of the dash, like no trim, no nothing.
Mhm.
And I think we also had some feelings about that kind of weird swoop that the tablet had into the passenger side of the
Right.
cabin.
Yep.
I feel like this RX takes the things we liked about the NX and the things we loved about the RZ interior and kind of puts them together. And I think it looks really, really, really nice. Really nice.
Like in particular, the thing that I've really noticed with this is the quilting on the doors, right by the speaker,
Hmm.
right in there. Like that to me is like LS level design right there.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's so appealing. I love the giant armrest. I love the detailing that they did on the seats, like the
Hmm.
cushions, the design that they've used on that. I love all this customizable lighting. Like this is, I mean, this is as close to like what you would consider the perfect Lexus interior as we've ever seen.
Yeah, I think so too. The thing that strikes me the most about it is it's always hard to toe the line, especially in a luxury car, of doing something that looks unique, but also doing something that's too simple or too minimalist. I feel like Lexus really hit it on the head here. This design is very simple and it's very clean, but it's also probably, at least based on the release, it seems like the most technology packed cabin that they have. And the
Mm-hmm.
fact that they've been able to put all that into this design and keep it clean and keep it so classic looking, and the line so clean. I really love it. Like I think it looks fantastic.
And I mean, obviously, we have to see it in person. We we weren't able to attend the event that's happening down in Plano, but the the long lead, the event where everybody drives it for the first time. Just can't wait to see this interior in
Mm-hmm.
person. So we talked about the interior briefly, talked about the
Mm-hmm.
exterior. I just want to go over the different packages that they've offered, the different engines.
Yep. Yeah.
So a lot of them are shared with the NX. So we have the same 2.4 liter turbo in the RX
Mm-hmm.
350, same 2.5 liter hybrid in the RX 350H. They're being coy with the RX 450H plus, I imagine, um, because of supply issues. They're reluctant to put too much emphasis on this vehicle. I think that with the way that Toyota and Lexus are putting out these battery electric vehicles and these plug-in hybrids, they've just run out of batteries, and they didn't really want to postpone
I think you're
the
right.
release of the RX just because they couldn't offer one of the different drivetrains.
Mm-hmm.
Admittedly, maybe the most appealing drivetrain, depending on where you're at, but we definitely did not see this RX F Sport performance coming. Like, I mean, I thought maybe it would, but it's a brand new engine, 2.4 liter turbo hybrid, 367 horsepower, 406 pound-feet of torque, and 26 miles per gallon. Like,
Mm-hmm.
boy,
Yeah.
really something. And I mean, there's always this idea like, oh, maybe it's not as high. The numbers aren't as high as competing products, but we're talking about an RX here. Like,
Yeah.
we always have to put it into perspective, and that's definitely something else. I'm gonna just swap out a picture so that
Yeah.
we can.
When we were looking at the specs, a couple things that popped out to me on engines. It said that in some trims the RX has lost as much as 200 pounds. So hey, I think this day and age, losing any weight is good. So that was a plus. I was a little bit disappointed that at least the 350 and 350H engines seem identical to the
Mm,
NX.
mm-hmm,
I would have like we know that the new 2.4-liter turbo four cylinder has a lot more torque than the V6, but I think it would have been nice if Lexus had bumped it up to like 285 or 290 or 295 horsepower for the
yeah.
RX,
Mm-hmm,
since it's a bigger, more expensive, heavier vehicle. I felt the same way about the hybrid. Like 200 like think about it. If the current RX owners used to having, you know, 308, I think, horsepower for the RX 450H, giving up like 50 of them for the RX 350H might be a
yeah.
little bit tough. But I guess I also have to wonder, Lexus research probably shows that that buyer is primarily looking for um, MPG, I would assume. And then if they are the performance buyer, then they have the RX 500H. So I don't know. Maybe they split the difference between the two that way.
I was thinking the same thing about that. The fact is that if you're looking at an RX and you want, kind of a bog standard RX, you're going to be going for the 350 or the 350H.
Mm-hmm.
But now there's two different options if you're looking for something a little bit more high performance. Eventually, I don't
Yeah.
know. Once we see that RX 450H plus, we have the RX F Sport Performance. I think that it's a pretty good spread. I mean, we're going from 246 horse in the RX 350H all the way up to 367. And I think that the RX 450H plus is what, around 300?
302. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that in terms of a spread, it's a pretty good spread. I just wonder in terms of cost what we're going to be looking at. I mean, the NX 450H plus is, what did we, it was like 60, was it?
Yeah. Here in the US, I think they're like 58 to 60K.
Right. So
Yeah.
we got to be thinking what 65 to
Yeah, I
65 to
think so too.
70 for an RX 450h plus.
Yeah, I
And
think so.
then I think the wild card really is this F Sport performance. Like I wouldn't even know how to ballpark it.
I wouldn't either. I guess it'll depend on what packages they offer with it. I did see they're going to have standard, I think premium, premium plus, luxury, F Sport handling, and then F Sport performance. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of different packages. I can't like to me, thinking about being your traditional RX buyer, which I'm not, so maybe my opinion on this doesn't matter. I don't know that I would be excited about paying like $65,000 for a like an RX with like 243 or 275 horsepower if I was going to get like a decked out luxury model. But again, I'm not really in the core buyer demographic here, so I've got to
Right.
think that Lexus has it figured out like what they want to do and who their buyer is. So I mean, you like I think you do have to say there really is something for everyone here. Like whether it's a base RX 350 front wheel drive all the way up to the 500 HF Sport Performance. There's a lot of choices here, no matter what you're looking for.
So I mean, on a whole, I I have to say, like, fairly impressive launch.
I think
It
so too.
Yeah, it's I think the people are going to fixate definitely on the front grille, and
Yeah,
rightfully
I think
so.
so too. I think so too.
But I think that overall, once people get into it, once people start to drive it, because we're not even talking about that. Like, it, it's one thing to release an F Sport performance and see the numbers of it. It's another thing to drive
Hmm.
it. So,
Yeah, true,
I mean,
true.
that could really end up being something.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited, and Direct 4 on top of that. In the promotion video that kicked it off, they said something about Direct 4 being able to do front wheel drive, rear wheel drive, or all wheel drive.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking forward to jumping into more of the details after this. The initial press release didn't actually have a lot of detail on the all wheel drive systems, which is something I'm always
Yeah,
curious about. The NX has the new dynamic torque vectoring full-time all-wheel drive. So I'm curious. I assume the RX 350
yeah,
has the same.
yeah. I would think,
Uh,
yeah,
yeah. So I'm interested to see what the numbers look like.
yeah, because the Direct Four is only available on the Esport Performance.
Hmm.
So when I was driving the RZ, I shared this, the way that they were able to divide power between the front and rear wheels.
Yeah.
There's a lot of flexibility there. So I think that that's really going to assist in the overall drive experience of the new RX F
Me
Sport
too.
Performance. Um,
Yeah, I hope
I'm
so.
not expecting I'm not expecting the driving experience of the standard models to set the world on fire. Like, I would imagine that it's going to definitely benefit from the um, this this emphasis on the Lexus driving signature. I
Yeah,
mean, over time that we've been driving these new vehicles that have come out with that, there's definitely some consistencies, definitely in the way that it corners. Can definitely see some some different things that go through all the whole lineup. So I'm thinking that it's probably going to be pretty impressive compared to the
yeah.
current model. Whether that translates into a more competitive edge, we'll have to see.
I hope so. Yeah. I mean, I look forward to driving one, an RX 500H with 367 horsepower and more than 400 pound-feet of torque, and an all-wheel drive system like that really could be a lot of fun. So,
Well,
yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
So I would think that that kind of wraps it up for our first look. Is there
yeah,
anything
I
else
think
that you
so.
want to say?
I think that covers it.
All right.
What do you think overall? Impressed? Excited? Not impressed?
I was very I was very tenuous in the beginning. When we first got the
Hmm.
pictures on Friday, I thought, "Oh my god, like People are gonna. I've actually, I think I even said it to you. I said like, this must be what BMW fans feel like.
Yeah, yeah, you did. You did. Yeah,
And
I
I,
agree.
I was like, oh boy, like this, like I was shocked really at first, and that feeling has definitely subsided.
Yeah.
Um, I thought maybe we could go through the comments and
Yeah.
just see if there's any ones that we can answer.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, let's
Um, a
just
non F
scroll.
Sport version of that front end. Agreed. I don't, Kevin, what's your choice? Do you think between the F Sport and the non F Sport front end, which one do you prefer?
I like I actually like the F Sport better, and I
Hmm.
not really one to say that. I just like the I don't like the extra detailing in the standard one. You know, like the chrome um, highlights in the grill.
Yeah, I got you.
What about
I
you?
think I actually like the standard front end a little more.
Mm-hmm.
I find personally, I think that the F Sport front end, like without that period where they, you know how the non F Sport front end kind of has that space where they bleed together,
Mm-hmm.
and the F Sport front end doesn't. I think I like that, but I guess we'll have to see what it looks like in person. Yeah, exactly. I think the fact that the upper area has a little bit of a pattern that kind of drills down into the bottom area to me feels a little more complete than the F Sport, but I'll have to see it in person to be sure.
You know, and it was actually this photo that started to change my mind on the front because I I didn't really realize how it was integrated in with the rest of the body. So
Hmm.
I just on its own, looking at it like from here, I don't find it bad at all. But I
Yeah,
think
I
it's when
agree.
you see the whole vehicle, it can get it's a little jarring.
Yeah, I think so too. And then I also go back to that point of like thinking about a person who's 5 or 6 feet tall looking down on the car. I think it's going to look a lot better in person. So I'm excited.
Someone wants to know if the new RX hybrid is has better fuel economy than the old RX hybrid. Um,
Um, let's see. The RX 350H gets um
oh,
33
33. Yeah, it gets 33. And then it's got to be
in
27 or
the
something.
yeah, the it looks like the current RX 450H gets like 30 mpg combined. So it
Yeah,
looks like
so
it is a little bit
a
better.
little bit better,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
as you mentioned, a little less horsepower. Well,
Yeah.
not a little less. I don't know if this number 246 horse does that include the is that a total horsepower or is that just
Hmm.
the gas engine?
Yeah, it's total system.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Um, I think that about covers it. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. That was great.
Yeah.
And we'll definitely be talking about this on our next podcast.
Yeah. Sounds good. Check out lexusenthusiast.com for the full press release, photos, RX discussion, and the forums. So the website is about to be RX
Yes.
HQ. So we'll see
Yeah.
you there.
All right. Thank you. Bye bye.
All right. Bye.